So what I'm going to do before we get started with this, I'm going to like take some time to draw out just visually what we're going to be doing. And this is a tool called Lucid Chart. This is actually a company based in Salt Lake, and they actually have quite a few DPL grads working there. There's like 5 or 6 there that work there. But this is just a website that allows you to like draw like charts and stuff. And there's one particular kind of chart that I'm drawing right now. It's called a ER diagram. It's an entity relationship diagram. And it's to like draw out visually what your database looks like. So it's a way you can kind of like plan out a database design without coding it. And then you can like visualize what it looks like, and you can visualize the relationships. So how this works is, I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to, because we're going to do a little Spotify app. So what I can do is like, you can think of each of these blocks as like one of our database tables. So we're going to have a artist table. And then I can come in and I can write out the fields. So like these are going to be the attributes of our artist. So our artist is going to have an ID. Now I can say what kind of data this is. Now I'm going to call this a primary key. It is really just an integer, but we're going to use this key right here, or this word primary key. That's some database lingo. A primary key is, and then I'll also throw this word in here, unique, because that is important. Primary keys are going to be unique. They're going to be an integer, and it's just going to be a way for us to grab an individual entry in that table. And all of the stuff we do in Rails for this class, all of our tables are going to have IDs in them as this primary key. Our artist is going to have a name, and that's going to be a string. And then we're going to have like fans. And that's going to be an integer. That's just going to be a number of fans. Cool. So then I'm going to come here, and now I'm going to do another, because we're going to have another table. Here. We are going to have a songs table. So once again, that's going to have an ID. That's going to be our primary key. A song is going to have a name. That's going to be a string. And then we'll do like a play count. It's going to be how many times the song's been played. And that can also be an integer. So this all makes sense right now, right? Kind of just those fields on the data. But these, in our database, we're going to have, or in our Rails project, we are going to have, we're going to have a artist model and a artist's controller. So for each of these tables, we'll have a model with them. And then we're also, but there's still like right now, there's not an association between these two, right? How do I associate these two things together? I'm trying to grab the text. Come on, give me a text box. Okay, so here's our songs model and our songs controller. So we have these separate tables. So how we're going to connect these two is so first of all, we can kind of see this. An artist has many songs. Like an artist could have, thousands of songs, but a song belongs to an artist. So what I can do in like the database layer of this is I'm going to, for each song, there's going to be a artist ID. And this is what's going to be called a foreign. How do you spell foreign key? I mean, it's in the name, but like this is just going to be the ID, the primary key of the artist. So it's going to be the ID of the artist that we store here. So here's kind of like, and then, with the ER diagram, we draw this association like that, where we have this little cross right here on the artist, and it's going to the songs with like the 3 prongs. So, and this is a standard like drawing language. So like I would look at this and I could say, oh yeah, an artist has many songs, a song belongs to an artist, just by this visually looking at this. So these are why these diagrams are nice. I can like show you maybe a little more like.
Would that be like a parent-child relationship?
Yeah, you could kind of think like it has many, one to many as a parent-child. Like, a parent has many. Let's just say like a mom has many children. A child has one like biological mom, right? A mom can have like many biological children. A child can only have one biological mom. Right? Is that true? I think that's true.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and here's just like, we can kind of like look at like a more like, and we don't like, these are why these diagrams are nice, because maybe your database has like all these different models that are associated, so we can use this diagram as a way to like visualize it. So that's like a little more in like complex database, but we're going to just keep this one straightforward. So before we get into the database like code, let's actually just see what this might look like. So let's say like here's my actual artist table data. So I'm going to say this is like ID, this is the name, and this is fans. So now I'm kind of doing like a little fake spreadsheet. Throwing some like random IDs here. So like for our artist, we might have like Michael Jackson and whatever, some actual value here, and then like Britney. Trying to do people everyone knows, Spears. And whatever. So so we're going to have like an entry in a database. So Michael Jackson would have a ID 23 and some value for fans. Here's Britney Spears has another ID. It's going to be unique. So let's just do like something that doesn't even look close to that one. And then different amount of fans. So then if I do like some, like if we like would to like go look at our like song table data. This, can I add another column? Add a column. I'm just gonna, all right, whatever. Okay, so let's do a song table. So we would have like Did it again. Like, I don't know if these are the actual names. We all know those songs, right? And then, you know, you might have a song. Thriller. I can't really throw these. It's not, I don't know how I can do another roll, so I'm going to do this. Kind of just fake it. So with our songs table, we have a play count. That'd be some number. And then we have a foreign key. What's the foreign key going to be for this one? I can like fake all this data, but now this one actually needs to be something specific.
44.
Is that the artist?
Yeah, that's 44.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the ID of Britney Spears. Okay, so then this one too as well. You know, that'd be 44. Then, you know, we have Thriller that has its own unique ID. You know, has its own like play count. Thriller probably has a lot of plays. But then the ID, that's going to be 23.
Quick question: can the song ID be like 23 as well, or it always has to be different from any ID in the whole?
Oh no, yeah, so this could be 23.
But like, because Michael Jackson's 23, but since it's a different kind of data, it really doesn't overlap.
Yeah, because this 23, yeah, so this would be valid because this 23 is the ID of the song. This 23 is a foreign key, and that's the ID of the artist.
Or
But yeah, this like could not be 23. Because then I would have two songs with the same ID, and like how that would not be good. Because the IDs are meant to be unique. What other things in databases are unique? There's one other clear one that you'll see all the time.
Usernames?
Yeah, usernames, emails. You're not going to want to like have a user in your database with the same username twice or a username. So but visually, does this make sense what we're building out? And like as a mental model, I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Oh, let's also do this. Let's say I want to create a song. Insert row below. Let's just kind of visualize this. So I'm going to come create a song. It's going to be Bop. I don't know why that one came to my head, but whatever. What do you think we can create a song if we don't have an artist for it?
I feel like you can, but you just can't give it a field key. And then,
So
by the
there's
way,
no
you
foreign
also
key.
gain that 234 twice, just so you know.
Yeah, there can be the foreign key can be in here twice. There can be 244s.
The song is 234 twice. Hit me, baby, one more time.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what you said. Okay. Yes, that needs to be a different ID. So yeah, the answer is going to be probably you're probably not going to want this to ever work. And in Rels and the way we're going to do it, we're actually going to put a constraint on here that the foreign key is required.
Isn't that like having like a social media post, but not coming from any social media account?
Yeah. Do you think yeah, it's like Facebook, they wouldn't allow you to make a post without being logged in, right? That how would you like that's not possible. Like you have to be logged in to like if a post has to belong to someone. So that's, and think about it in the real world, can like a song has to be created by someone, right? Songs don't just magically create themselves. They need like they need someone to create it. So we're definitely going to need to create an artist before we create a song. So we can just make that all red. Doesn't work. And let's talk about one other thing just as we have this visualized. What happens if I go into my database and I delete Michael Jackson from my database? What should, and there's not like a right or wrong answer.
I feel like all his songs should be erased too, then, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they'd be invalid.
it kind of depends on the situation. But yeah, I think if, you know, this is Spotify, if I deleted Michael Jackson from Spotify, I'm probably, you know, don't want to show his songs anymore. So when we delete Michael Jackson, you know, we're probably going to want to go delete all Michael Jackson's songs.
And that would be delete by artist ID, right?
Yeah, there's actually, we're going to see something in Rels that it's like, it actually, Rels won't allow us to delete an artist because they'll say, hey, you know, this artist has songs associated with it, but there's going to be a little command we can put in our Rels code, a little line of code that says, that lets Rels know, hey, if you delete the artist, go ahead and destroy all the dependent like things associated with that artist.
You got the bop song stuck in my head now.
Sorry, that was the first thing that, like, I just wanted to pick a song that everyone would know.
I actually heard that at a gas station like a month ago. It was weird.
Does anyone not know that song? Maybe.
I may not, depending on just by the title. I don't know it, but if I hear it, maybe.
It's MMMBOP.
You definitely know it.
Bob. Oh my, yeah, it's probably not Bob. That's a little,
Yeah, I
Bob.
probably just have to hear it. If I hear it, I'll probably catch it right away.
like it's Friday. There's another one that gets stuck in your head. I think that's what that song's called, or it's maybe just called Friday. Anyway, cool. So this, I'm going to take a little snapshot of this. Does this make sense?
I think so.
Cool. Because this is one of those things like, if this doesn't make sense, then it's gonna be very hard to code. But if this makes sense, then as we're coding, we can like kind of come back to this. So I just took that screenshot. I'll throw that out in Slack, this screenshot. At some point, why did Slack hide their attachment thing? Anyway, I don't know where it is. I'll do it. It's in here somewhere. I'm gonna take another shot. Okay.
You got to hit the plus button, like in the message thing, and then there should be like an attachment option.
Yeah, I'm just not seeing it from my screenshots. Upload from my computer. Oh wait, here it is. Okay. So let's go ahead and yeah, build this out. So go ahead and let's step into terminal. And just, did I stop sharing my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not that. All right. Where did it go? There. All right, so I have a little version of like a complete, like this lecture complete on GitHub. So I'm going to Slack that out. So I'm not sure how, it'll be pretty close, but we'll follow along. Just find this Chrome. Oh, there it is again. Too many Chrome browsers open. All right. I'm just going to select this out. Spring. Kind of be following along with this. There's a little bit of a README. I'll probably update this README a little as we're going through this. But yeah, on the README, it just kind of has like that example we just went through. So, you know, the Michael Jackson and Brittany. So now
Are we cloning the repository from you?
what?
Or
No,
what?
don't clone this because this is going to be done. But right here are, and I can just throw these out in Slack too as well. Just one here. These are kind of going to be just the initial setup steps.
So
go ahead.
launching a Rails is almost similar to launching a Ruby.
No, and let's talk about this. So cd into your week 3 directory. So what I'm going to do here, this Rels new. So this is going to create a new Rels project for me. So I can start developing. I give it a name. So let's call this Spotify. Spring 22. Then we're going to tell it, so this would work, but I want to give it some special flags. I want to make sure that it's using PostgreSQL as the database, because we have a couple different database options. And then I also want to say, hey, Rels only be an API, because Rels by default is going to be full MVC, where it gives us the views. But by saying this -- API, I'm taking that part away from Rels. And so now Rels is only going to be responsible for, you know, database stuff and giving us back JSON. So I run that. Cool. That command that was in Slack. And then I can go ahead and cd into that project. What did I, oh, I called it Spotify Spring 22. Okay. Now, I think with this, I like to do a, because when you do it with a Rels project, it has all this untracked stuff. So I just like to do a git add. Let's make sure this is all added. Okay, and then I need to go ahead and create my database for this. So I do a Rels DB create. That creates my database. So I should be able to test this. This is not in Slack, so I'll throw this also in Slack. Rels s-p 3001. That starts up my server. So once again, now I have my Rails server running on my terminal. So it's listening on HTTP 127.001 port 3001. What is this 127.0.0.1?
Is
Your
that something?
IP address, is it? That's the address of your computer.
Yeah, that's the address of my computer. It's like the local host. And actually websites, like things like all websites actually have this like this format of 4 numbers. What is it? TCP4, ICP4? I forget the verb. But so this is the address to like the website. So like if you went to Google, Google's like going to be like 68.31.12.25. Like, but we call it google.com. But so now I should be able to go to localhost. Port, I don't want to Google localhost 3000. Where did that pop up? Oh wait, I did port 3001. There we go. I'm on version 6. You're on version 7. I probably need to update my Rels. Okay, yeah, you're definitely not going to be able to clone my app, so don't clone. But it'll be everything, the code's going to be the same. But I am running a different version. So I'm going to need to download Rails version 7 here. Okay.
I think I missed something. I got an error when I tried to open the local host.
Yeah. So on Slack.
Was
these
it
are-
active record, no database?
Yeah, Rails, you forget this Rails DB create.
Which?
Rails, so you need to run all of these commands. So you create your project, you CD into it, you do a little git stuff, and then you do this Rails DB create.
I did the DB create and the Rails S. And it says that it's running, but it didn't pop up anywhere.
Yeah, you have to go to you have to go to a browser and like go type in localhost 3001.
Oh, it doesn't pop up like the yarn start.
No,
Okay.
I don't think it does.
Okay. Yeah, it's up now. I just thought it would automatically populate.
It might be something you might want to like bookmark.
Mm.
Is it a problem that instead of when it says in my terminal Spotify Git, instead of master, it just says main?
Oh, so there's, you might see differences between master. We haven't talked about branches yet. So it's GitHub used to call it master as like, master is like the branch that it's like a master key. Like it's the thing you want to like make copies of.
Yeah.
But they changed the word to main because master's not inclusive or kind of that.
Yeah, mine's still not working.
Okay, you want to share your screen? Kind of want to make sure everyone is anyone else have not been able to go to localhost 3001?
I have something wrong with Postgres, but I'm just trying to debug that.
If you have something wrong with Postgres or you're getting that error, go to your elephant icon and make sure you have that green check. And if it's red, hit start. You know what I'm talking about? Catherine, you want to share your screen?
Okay.
These, and yeah, and Jessica, if you still have that error, we'll look at that. Okay. Yeah, so go back to your terminal. Yeah, you need to, you need to run that command. So you need to quit out of here. So you you need to quit your server, so Control C. So, okay. Now type the Rels DB create. DB colon create.
Oh,
The create has to be right up against the.
oh.
Okay, now do the Rels dash S. Or sorry, Rels space S dash P 3001.
That's. I don't remember. Oh, they didn't put it in there.
Yeah.
Rails dash what?
That P dash P space 3001. Okay, so that's working. So now you should be able to go to localhost 3001 and refresh that page and it should work. Cool. Jess, is yours still not working?
Yeah, I was just gonna try to redo the database because I think it's something with the Postgres ports because
You
I've
wanna-
been having trouble with that.
Do you want to share your screen?
Yep.
Because this might also be, because sometimes it's pretty rare, but sometimes like, I want to see through, will you go to your elephant? What is it? So you have the node database. Okay, so.
Yeah, so I apparently have another version of Postgres somewhere on my computer, so I have to kill it before I can initiate it on the default port. So I'm thinking it's something with that.
So what happens when you type Rails DB create in your Spotify? DB colon create. Nothing. Okay, there it goes. Now do Rel.
And maybe it might be good.
You need to start your server though.
Oh,
Your terminal is
Yeah,
so
right.
cute.
no thanks. P,
I want
is
to
that right?
Yeah. I want
Okay.
cosmic terminal background. Okay, so yeah, that should be working now.
Yeah, I basically had to kill my other Postgres and create a new database because it might have just gone to the other one or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Cool. Sweet. So we're all here, right? I'm gonna hit share my screen. I can just okay. Cool. So that's like when you're doing Rails stuff, this is just, I think this is like those things that happens like, just a good way, you set up your project, you create it, you do an add, you create your database, and then you just make sure it's up and running. Before we do we haven't done any code. But now it's working. So now we can go ahead and step into our code. Actually, I'm just going to take this link right here. Okay.
I don't
So
think
we
you're
want
sharing
to.
your screen.
Oh, I'm not. Okay, thank you. Deny share. So we're going to just start with the artist for now. And then we'll get to the song later. So we're going to do all the artist stuff right now. So I want to create an artist. And, from this table, I now know how to run the command to create this artist. Because I'm going to create an artist model. So models are always going to be singular in Rails. So I can do so I need to stop my server or open up a new server. So I'm just going to stop my server or open up a new window. And I'm going to create this artist model with this Rails G model. So
Wait, what did you click to get that again?
Control C. So if you need to do Rels S -P 3001, or that's 30,001, that's fine. Control C. Get that muscle memory. Start your server, Rels S P 3001. Stop it, Control C. If my server's not running and I go see this, I go to localhost 3001. I mean, you've seen this, like, this is the thing you see when you try to go to a website when you don't have like internet or you know the server's down. So it's just saying, hey, I can't, Chrome can't even connect because I don't have my server running. All right, so we're gonna do a Rels G for generate, and then we give it the model name. So it's artist. We're creating a artist model. An artist has a name attribute, and then I can give it the type of data. That's going to be a string. And then it's going to have a fans. That's going to be an integer. Oop, I forgot a keyword here. Rels G model. And the G stands for generate. So that just goes in, and what it does is it really just creates a couple files for us. We could go in and manually create these files, but let's look at these two files that it creates that we're concerned about. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this up in code. This one's the done one. So I can look at, like, since I did a commit, one of the nice things about doing commits often is I can go see, hey, what did that command just change? It added these 4 files. So it added this artist.rb file. All right, well, that's doing nothing, right? Just 2 lines of code. But remember briefly yesterday, does anyone remember what this sign is saying, or like what this is actually saying?
Is it saying artist is a child of application record?
Yeah, artist is a child of application record. It's extending application record. And really, if I look at application record is a child of active record. So when we talk about Rels models, all of our Rels models, when we generate a Rels model, they're going to be an active record. So, you know, when you Google active record on the Rels docs, you know, there's a lot we can do with active record. Here we see, well, that kind of looks like those database diagrams, but you know, there's tons of stuff we can do with active record. We're going to keep it really basic for this first couple of weeks just to not make it too complicated, but we get a lot of just built-in functionality with this by doing this inheritance. Cool. And we'll come.
And James, what does it mean when it says it cannot find generator artist?
You forgot you did what I did. You forgot to say model. So that was what I ran the first one, Rels G artist. I need to say Rels G model. Rels generate model, give it the name of the model I want to generate, and then the attributes and type of data.
How do you check that in your Rails? It's under DB or?
Yeah, this is going to be in your app. So your app, you have your models. And then in your models, you have an artist.
Okay, I got it. I was just making sure.
And then the other file that was created was the in our DB, we have this migration folder that was created. And then we have this instruction. What does this is a weird file name, right? What does this file name, what does that look like?
The
The
date.
date.
Yeah, that's like the
and the
date
time.
and the time. So it's like stamping it, because that's going to have the effect of ordering these. So, and this is going to be important. This is probably something you'll maybe run into this issue. When we're working with these migrations and when we're creating these models, you're going to want, if you have a model that like is a child of another model or like a model that belongs to another one, you need to create the parent model first. Because there's an order, and we'll kind of look at that in a little more detail, but just if you're ever wondering like which models do I need to create first, just create the ones that are like the parents first. So I would have not wanted done like a Rails G model songs first. I'd want to create the artists first, and that's what we're doing. Okay, so
So do
this,
you wanna, could you delete that date? Does it matter if you deleted the date on the?
yeah, so if you ever want to delete a model, maybe you misspelled something, maybe you don't want it anymore, you can do a Rels D for delete artist, and then the model name. Oh, I keep on forgetting the model keyword. So I'm saying Rels delete. You know, maybe if I actually put the word in, that'll make more sense. Or do I just do, maybe it doesn't like delete. I always do D. Okay, I guess it doesn't like delete. So Rels D model artist. And that just goes in and that removes all those files. So that's actually not there anymore. So let's do this though. Let's regenerate that if you deleted it. Now, this creates the model, the Rels model. It creates the instruction or the code to create the database table, but it actually doesn't create the table in my database. And one way I can look at that is I can check out my schema file in my database folder, which I don't even have right now because I don't have any tables right now. So what I need to do is do a Rels Db Migrate. So whenever you generate a model, you need to run this command, Rels Db Migrate. And then you see how that says, create table artists. If I go look at my code, I now have a schema.rb. Now this file, notice how it says it's an auto-generated file. It says somewhere that you do not want to edit this file. Instead of editing this files, please use migration. Use migrations instead of editing this file. Editing this file doesn't do anything.
What was the command for that again? I got an error.
Rels db :migrate.
Well, maybe it's a space.
So we've seen Rels db :create. Now we have one Rels db :migrate. So and just to show you, if I delete the model, once again, it deletes that migration file, but it doesn't change my schema. If I deleted a model, I would also want to like migrate my database. That should get rid of that. I guess like it's that should change that because the artist table is no longer going to be, well, I could do this. Oh, sorry. If you delete something, you could also do a Rels db drop. that's going to drop your database. It's going to like destroy your database. Then I need to recreate it, Rels DB :create. Well, if I recreate it, I need to remigrate it. Now that's gone. Then I could generate my artist migration again and Rels DB migrate. We'll get more familiar with these commands. I kind of just wanted to show you some of them. Rels DB create, Rels DB migrate. Those are going to be good ones. And then we also have one, Rels DB drop, to completely like remove our database from our computer. So if you do a drop, it's going to like delete all of your data. So be careful. I mean, it doesn't really matter with development, but just know that's going to delete your database. So I can now step into my Rels console. Now this allows me to interact with Ruby. I can write Ruby in here, but I can also interact with my Rels project. So I now have like an artist model. It's capital A. So I could do artist.methods. See, these are all the methods I'm getting from active record. It's a lot, you know, there's quite a few. So one that we have is create, artist.create. So let's do main. And let's do Michael Jackson. And then fans. So I could come in here, I could create some artists, you know, I could do, and let's do Britney Spears because we had her as well.
James, what was the command again to get open that console in iTerm?
Rels space C. Brittany, okay. And then, yeah, I can use my artist model to grab all of those from the database. I can use the find method to find one with a given ID.
Okay, you need.
What? What's that? So let's say like the main methods we're going to be using right now are going to be, and let's do this in another file. So let's look at this seeds.rb file. Let's kind of look at this. This can be a useful file because it's nice to come into the Rels console, but maybe I actually want to like write this in a file and run it. So what I can do in my seeds file is I can do what's called seeding my database. Okay, and maybe what I want to do before I run this, I'm going to do artist.destroy. So I can run this seeds file. I can go through, I can destroy all my artists, and then I can create 2 more. And this is a way we can just add some dummy data to our database. So I'm going to go ahead, click out of here. Let's do exit. So I'm going to do
when you did it in VS Code, it's deleting everything that you added in the terminal? The destroy all?
Yeah, so right now, let's do this. I'm also going to do a puts just so we can see at the end of this. We'll do some messages. Artist dot size. Maybe we can do like just to like see the first one. We could do like artist. Okay.
Is P short for puts?
P is short for puts. P does a little different. It's a little different. It's it gives us actually a little more information. So we have puts and we have P. P can like will go in and give you a little more detailed, like what the thing is. So it both puts to the console, but they do have slightly different behaviors. So to run my seeds file, I can do a Rels db :seed. See, that goes through that and that runs that seed file. So it creates them and then I see those puts. So it says seeded DB, artist size is 2, artist ID is 3, Michael Jackson, there's the fans. If I don't have this in here, let's see if I can put just the artist top all. So that looks like. I'm gonna run this. So I did 2 things. I commented out the destroy all. We're going to create 2 more artists. And then I'm just going to try to puts out like, or P out the, I hate saying P out the artist all. Okay, so my artist size is 4 now. So I have Michael Jackson with ID 3, so that's the first one. But notice since I didn't destroy them all, I have duplicates. Which, may or may not be fine. But these are different artists because they have different IDs. I don't have a restriction on my database saying the name has to be unique and the fan count has to be unique. Maybe I should throw that valid uniqueness on there, right? But for now, as I'm seeding my database, this is why I would do that. Just destroy all the artists, recreate them. Because then I know when I'm always going to have, these 2 things in my database. And this can be nice because I can, like, if I drop my database, Rels db drop.
So I got an error when I ran db seed.
You probably have a syntax error in here somewhere.
I'm trying to find it. I'm looking.
I'll put this out in Slack. So I'm gonna drop my database. So I just want to show you this. If I drop my database, I step into my console. I try to do like an artist all. It doesn't work because I need to like recreate my database. I also need to re-migrate it. Like dropping your database just blows up. It just deletes all your tables. And then I could do a Rels db seed. And now I have 2 artists. Notice how the ID is 1 because like it completely just deleted and recreated that table. if I do, and I only have 2 artists, if I do another Rels DB seed, I have 2 artist stills, but notice how the ID is now 3 and 4. Do a Rels DB seed. My artist size is still 2, but I'm destroying those previous ones. So like, I'm never going to see the artist with ID 1 again, or ID 2, unless I go drop in my database. Does that kind of make sense what's going on with that in the database level? I think this is a good time for a break. Let's come back at, let's just call it 10:55. If anyone's is broken, I can take a look at it, but any questions?
Can you go back to your VS Code just so I can see it?
Yeah. And I threw this out in Slack too.
Okay.
I was trying to follow along. I mistyped something and then you were like 9 lines ahead. So you type way faster than I do.
I mean, really, it's
Yeah, I don't see that I have a syntax error.
So is that interpolation that only works with the double quotes,
yes.
right? Oh, I didn't know that.
There was one command. So in Slack, I'm just going to like take all this and then I'll re-Slack this out to get caught up. Okay, so what we did.
Attribute name for artist error. And it ports Rails.
Fans. This is in the README in that repo I slacked out, but just so it's a little more concise. Rels DB Migrate. So I'm going to say this. First, add that stuff to your seed file. Let's go ahead and I'm going to also go and like comment all of these to show what they do. Create the Rels. Spotify. I'm going to comment what these commands do. Those no. Here we create a database for our Spotify project. We're creating the Rels model artist. After create a model. There are steps.
Hey, James, when you get a second, can you look at my terminal? I keep saying, did you mean send when I say I put in seed?
Yeah, so well, Rels,
Get in there too.
let's talk about the seed. So the seeding the database. We first, add to seeds.rb. So that's what we added there. Let's throw this out in Slack. No, that's not that. Why is that not copying all this? And then to run seeds file, Rels db seed. So yeah, so I guess now that that sounds like whoever's first can share their screen. Yeah, so you're in like a Rails console. You need to be in your terminal. So you need to hit like a Control C or exit. Does that make sense? See how you have like the arrow? So hit like, does Control C work? I can't remember Control C. Okay, hit exit. Type exit. Cool. So the Rels DB, so you are in your Rels console, which is kind of like when we run Node or IRB. It's like that interactive Ruby. So it's allowing you to type Ruby. So you're no longer like in your terminal. So to get out of that, you need to type exit. And now if you scroll, because you can kind of see when you scroll down, like you get the different prompt. So now you should be able to run the Rels DB Migrate. And you're on mute if you're talking.
All right, so I thought the Control C was supposed to open up the terminal in here. Why didn't it do that?
Control C doesn't, Control C for some of the things stops when you have like a server running. Sometimes you have to do exit, sometimes you have to do .exit. So that's
Because
the,
like, sorry, I mean to cut you off. I mean, right here, I put in Rails C to open it up, but it didn't. Why didn't it? Did it just stop the server instead of open up the console?
what's your question?
Right here where I put in Rails C to open up the console, it just stopped the server, didn't actually open up the console. What?
Yes, it opened up, you type Rel C and then you have that like IRB main. So like you can type Rel, like Rel C is like saying, hey, open up the Rails console. So go scroll down, type Rel C. You're in your Rails console. So now you can do like 1+1. Like you can type Ruby now. Cool. But yeah, you can't like CD into a directory or because you're not in your like terminal shell, you're in a Ruby shell. So if you want to get out of it, you need to type exit.
Okay.
So if you type exit.
Is there a way to reverse DB seed?
To reverse,
Not that I'm having an issue or anything, but like say that I had like a line of code that I didn't actually want to run. Can I like Control Z essentially?
I mean, you can go in and change your seeds file,
Mhm.
but
Oh, okay,
you can't like it's stored to your database.
right.
So
So it's because I kept like the destroy all in, and then it created 2 new artists with IDs 3 and 4. So 1 and 2 are gone forever, essentially.
yes, they are gone forever.
Is that a problem for this
Um,
exercise anyway?
No.
Oh,
It'd be a problem if that was like a production, if like that was actually Spotify's database and you, you know, you destroyed all the artists, that would
Yeah.
be a problem.
oh yeah, totally.
Does that make sense? Like for us developing, it's you know, who cares? But you are actually like when you destroy stuff from the database, you know, you're actually deleting them. So there's not like that, like there's not that ability to undo or redo stuff. Like if you add something to the database, it's there unless you destroy it.
James, has anyone ever done that? You know, been on, you know, accidentally destroyed a website where it just crashes the whole thing? Or
I'm
is-
sure that I don't know the specific example, but I'm sure that's happened.
I'm
Or do
having
you
an
just-
issue. Can I get your help when you're done?
Yeah, you want to share your screen?
I know that happened with Pixar.
Yeah. I know like people will like maliciously try to do that. They'll like try to send up a SQL call that will like delete stuff from your database.
It happened with like Toy Story, I think. Someone ended up deleting it. I don't know if it's from the database or whatever, but someone had an extra file.
So when I run Rails DB seed, it's not popping up the like what's seeded.
Oh, and you have some puts messages there too. Okay, you have, it looks like you have a different file where you're doing this seeds. So you're in like this resources API. You're doing that there. So you're not doing this in your,
Oh,
in your
okay.
Spotify app.
Oh, okay, thanks. I'll switch to myself. I must have accidentally clicked on that for some reason. Okay, thank
I
you.
do that all the time. You make changes to a file, you're like, why isn't this doing it?
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Um, I kind of want to edit this README really quick. I guess I'll just leave this the same. So, because this is a little more, I did a little more like kind of demo stuff, but let me just show you, like, so I have this Spotify done. I don't think I'm screen sharing. Okay, because yeah, I guess it's time to get started. So, all right. So here are the commands we ran. Now this does have all the commands we need. So we create the new project, we do all the GitHub stuff, we set up our database. Then we do the artist setup. So we create the model and we run a migration. And then this has the extra step of creating the controller, which we'll do. And it also has, you know, stuff to throw in our seeds file, which we did. So if we're doing an artist setup, like there's going to be these two things where we create the model, we migrate, and then we can create the controller. The seeding our database, this is not, maybe I should throw this in here, like the seeding database is not required, but nice to have. You don't have to seed our database. But the one command we forgot, or not forgot really, it's because we're just kind of focused on the model, is the next thing we want to generate our controller. So for that, oh my gosh, control, I'm trying to get this up. Okay, Rails G controller. We give it the name and then we prepend it with API. So API, and this is going to be plural of whatever our model is, artists, and that's that command. Really all this command does is, because we're not doing anything with test stuff right now, it just goes in and creates an artist controller.rb file. It's like a lazy way to do that. And it creates this file too.
You froze for a second there, James. I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so all this command really does is it just creates this artist controller file.
Okay.
And so if I go look in my app folder, kind of just get used to navigating this larger folder structure. So we go to app and controllers, API, artist controllers, and there it is. Once again, we have some inheritance going on here. So we're going to see some Rails magic that we're actually getting from, inheriting from the action controller class. So instead of having, because right now we have to go into to see our data, we have to go into our console and like do a artist.all. Let's actually start doing this so we can do this with Postman. And today we'll have you download Postman. But let's write out our first route. So I have a controller and I have a model. We have data in our database, but now I need to get this set up to handle HTTP requests. So there's two steps. It's once we have like our controller and model and data, we set route in routes.rb. And that's going to be in your config folder. So if I close this, like I have my app, so we're going to mainly be working in the app folder. The DB folder the only thing you really mainly touch in here is the seeds. You can change your migration files, but for now we'll probably just be working with the seeds. In the config folder, this is where it's a lot of our configuration stuff. For now, pretty much the only thing we're going to be touching in this folder is going to be the routes.rb. I'm just going to put a comment here. Prepend routes with API. So to do that, I'm going to do namespace API do end. So everything within this do end block is going to be prepended with API. So I want to do a request to get all the books. Does anyone think what is the route going to be for this? or first of all, what's going to be the HTTP verb, the method that we're going to use?
You said to do what again?
We want to get all of the artists. So I want to set up a route for this. What is the HTTP verb to get artists or to get something from a website?
What does it start with? What's the first letter?
G.
So it'd be a get.
Yeah. So I want to do a get. I want to get
The
all
link, right?
What?
Is it just a link?
It's the path.
The path, yeah, the path. Okay.
It's like we're doing our menu. We're making our Rels.
Yeah.
menu. And we have to use it in HTTP. And we want to do it like standard. We're going to use conventional, like, we're going to follow convention. What is the path? So I'm going to have like, these are all going to start out with like localhost, right? 3001. And then I'm doing this prepending with API. How do I tell this URL I want to get all the artists?
Just do artists after that.
Artists. So that's what it's going to look like when I type it into Chrome. And with Chrome, remember, it's a GET request. So what I do here is I say get artists. Where should this go? And you don't have to like tell me either the controller or the method or both. Which controller should this go to? Once my Rails app gets a GET request to artist, which controller should it go to?
The artist controller.
Artist controller, yes. You remember the method name that we called this if we're like kind of following this conventional CRUD? Anyone? It's the index. So if we're looking at this, this is the HTTP verb. Okay. I'm just going to, so I can fit this HTTP. This is the, path. And then do -v for verb. There's our path. This is the controller. This is the method. What HTTP verbs do we need to know? HTTP verbs. Which ones?
Post and delete.
We have a get. We have a post. We have a delete.
Yeah, and delete.
Update too, right?
Yeah, we have an update, but it's not called update. It's called
What?
put. Yeah. So get is like, that reads. This is the index method. We have a post that creates. That, is the create method. We have a delete that destroys. That goes to the destroy method. We have a put that upstate, I should say creates thing, whatever the thing might be, destroys thing. Just reads things. or a thing. I'm just gonna say this get things. I think that's better than reads. This updates thing. This goes to the update method. Do not make this harder than it is. If just, we have a combination of a verb and a path. I'm the Rels router. I'm like the Rels app. You need to give me an HTTP verb and a path. And by you, I mean like the client. You give me those two things, and then I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go to a certain controller to a certain method and run that method. This is what the client gives me. This is where I'm telling myself to go. So let's do post. We kind of have this down here.
You're doing it for artists again?
Yeah, I want to create something to a database. What method is that?
Post.
Post. So that's a post method. Now this is convention. I'm kind of following like convention. You know, generally you'll see just the name for a post. I'll just say post and then the name of the model. And then that goes to what controller?
Artist.
Artist.
Would it be hashtag post?
It's so I know this is like, it's confusing because it's like put goes to update, delete goes to destroy.
Go to create.
This will go to the create method.
Okay.
Let me, okay, yeah, so this, I could technically call this, what if I called this taco? What is that saying?
It doesn't matter as long as where it's going says the same thing. It's just an address to tell where to go to.
Yeah, so if I get a post request to /artist, I'm saying, hey, go to the artist controller and call the taco method.
But instead you just named it create because that makes more sense.
There would have to be a taco method though, right?
Yes, there would have to be a taco method. There's going to have to be a create method. There's going to have to be an index method. But I'm following this convention.
We have to define those.
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
So in my artist controller, I need to do a def index. I need to do a def create.
Can you remind us what the shortcut is to like search for a file so we can get there quickly?
Yeah, Command P. Remember that. Just everyone do that right now. So in VS Code, Command P, like we want to go to the artist controller. Boom. I can start typing it. I'm going to go back to routes. So Command P, routes. I'm back there. So I want to go to artist, and it actually like keeps track of like, you know, recently visit one. So I can just hit Command P and then like look for the recent ones. I don't even sometimes need to search. Because yeah, once we get into Rels, it's like now all this, like using this to navigate is going to be slow. It's like, oh, where's my artist controller? It's like, I don't even see controllers anywhere. And you can spend like, you know, 10 seconds just being like, wait, there's my controllers folder. There it is. Command P. So let's just stick with these two for now. don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but we'll kind of keep going with this. So I have a get request to artist. That takes me to my artist index method. So if I go to my artist controller, so Command P, can go use my arrows to find the artist controller because that's just right there. Right. This was a get request API/artists. And this should, return all artists as JSON. I shouldn't even say should. This does. Return all artists as JSON. Okay, so how do we do that? Render JSON artist.all. Any questions on that?
Yeah, when do you know when to put like in the routes, we put artists with the S, but then we're doing artist.all. Where does the artist, the S, where are we pulling that from? Or are we just naming it? That's what we're naming it.
Yeah, this is a good question, good point. So let's go to our routes file. Let's kind of see what names are important and which aren't. Like, what's our convention and what we have actually need to call these things. So I'm doing a get request to /artists. What happens if I change this to artist? And actually, we have this working. Let's just test this out and see it work, because this should work now. And then we'll go around and we'll play with some of the names, because I think that's a good question and it's a good thing to take some time to look at. So I first need to make sure I have my server running. So Rels s-p. I'm just going to do everything on port 3001. So I'm going to go to localhost 3001. So that's going, like, I did a get request to / and it knew how to handle that. It gives me back just generic page. But I want to do it as localhost. I want to do a request to API/artists. And remember Chrome, I'm doing a get request when I hit enter. There you go. There are my artists. And maybe, let me see if I can throw these side by side so I don't have to keep on switching screens. So we can play a little quiz game.
By the way, can I mention real quick? I actually have a Chrome extension called JSON Viewer Pro that you can just get, and it makes JSON a lot more readable within a web browser.
JSON Viewer. Yeah, you can grab that. We're actually gonna do Postman. So this one's better.
Yeah, this one makes it look good too, but if you just want to view it in a web browser, that extension is really handy.
Cool. Yeah, so if you want to download that, I'm just going to leave it like this. Probably take 5 seconds, but anyway. So I want to make sure we can see the URL. So I'm doing a get request. Maybe this would be better. Oh, let's just do it here. So let's say I switch this to X. What do I need to change to make this work?
Say that one more time.
I do a get request to X. Where do I need to make a change? So when I hit refresh in the browser, this works.
You would need to make it go to X hash index, right?
X hash index. Oh, you mean here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the one.
Oh, okay.
Let me, okay. So this part you get from client. This part tells you where to go. If you do not understand the routes file, you are going to be hopeless with Rels. So I really want this, like this really needs to sink in. This is, if you can't read this, you will never know Rels. And it's really, it's not that hard because we don't have that many options. I think it's just these foreign words that people get tripped up on. And it's like the way, it's like the syntax. So it's like it's a different language, but there's like, 15 words we need to know. And then, so I kind of just, I'm going to beat this into you until it like makes sense. So, and I'll even like just kind of make this even further away. Not.
Would you have to change the name of your model?
No.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop guessing. Never mind.
No, guesses are fine. I like guesses. Try to guess because that means you're thinking. That's good.
I mean, James, can you think of these as like street, directions, go down to this place, turn here, go to that place? I mean, it's basically the same thing. It's in computer language, but it's just given directions of where to go and how to get there.
So you change the controller?
No.
So the question is, if you change that to /X, what else do you have to change?
Yeah, I changed.
So you'd have to change it in the HTML localhost 3001, right?
Yes, I need to change it here. X. That was confusing.
Yeah, that was my next guess.
Cool. So
That was a joke.
this is like what I'm like telling, like, and I would like need to like tell the person, the client, like somewhere on a website, hey, if you do a get request to X, or like if I say this as the Rels server, if someone comes to my website with a get request to /X, take him here. Like, I like to think of this part, like, I think it's like a menu. Someone is ordering something, get X. So how you order something is on, like, you do it here.
So what is it like when you just have the API? What does it load? Just the Ruby on Rails loading menu?
What is it on, like the server?
No, like if you go back to if you're just on the API, what is that?
On this one?
It's not
And
going
then
to
you
work.
did, what if you did /API? What does that sit at right there?
Yeah, what is this going to do?
It's going to do an error because there's no route.
Yeah, someone is coming to my restaurant and they are asking, they're doing a GET request to /API. And you see how like, so right here, we are technically with this namespace API, I am technically kind of doing like this /API, having this namespace do it for me. So, if I
Oh,
do
so the
it-
namespace is where that API is defined, and then that's why you're doing the slash, and then you would do the get right there with the /x.
yeah,
So the name API is coming from the API to do.
I'm really kind of regretting my decision to do this convention, but
No, I understand what the X is doing and all that, but I'm saying where are you getting the word API from before the /x?
I think that's just like a conventional thing, right?
yes. Rails is like, okay. I'm going to show you a couple of things. Because yeah, like I said, this, I think this is probably, this file is, when you're talking about Rels and like Axios and just APIs, this is the most important thing to understand. or one of them. It's pretty important. If you don't understand what this file is saying, you're going to be lost, because this really is, it's not only is it your menu, because you could think of it like the left side is you're defining your menu, but then on the right side, these two, you're kind of instructing like where to go. So it's like, it's very much like the middle, like this is like very much a middle piece in between your front end and your back end. This is like, let's define how these two work together. Do you see how this is like that's why this is important?
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay, so let's like really understand what like everything in this file is doing. So let's just call this, let's call this get X. And then I'm going to call this artist, meth one. We'll just do method one. So what I'm going to do, so let's just, if I do a get request, because notice these are not namespaced to API. So let's look at what the difference between the name, what this is doing. So these are not namespaced to API. So what that means is now I can do a localhost X undefined method get. Why doesn't it like that?
Is it because you didn't define method one in your controller?
Oh no, it's sorry, it's down here.
Oh,
Because this should be defined inside of here. I had this get down here, so that was right there. Let's refresh. Okay. I'm getting a 404 error. Now, something that's nice that it's showing me all of these paths that I had defined. So when I do these routes, I'm defining paths for my app. So there's a get request to /x. That's this very first one right here. See, get X, that's going to go to the artist method one. But notice how it's saying I have an uninitialized constants artist controller. That's a little confusing because I have an artist controller, right? Well, it's not looking in the right spot because this is not namespace. So I need to do API / because that's where my artist controller lives. If I do this now,
When you say it's convention, do you mean it's like it's expected from the browser, or is it something that is expected, or is it just kind of like a just because we say so sort of thing?
It's like it's not even like a Rails convention. It's just name spacing is something that a lot of people in a lot of places do with APIs. You can do it with versions too. You can have different APIs with different versions and you namespace it, or you don't have to. But we do it here at DevPoint Labs because because a lot of people do it, and it's like, hey, we're using this Rails app as an API. So just in our URL, we're going to get that information. Hey, this is like, like my website /API. So it lets you know in the URL you're accessing an API. Versus like,
That makes sense now.
or like this website, if it didn't have that API in it, you'd maybe expect it to give you back HTML. So it just gives you information. So, so now it does work, because now I have the get X. That's taking me to my API. So what this is saying is go in your controllers, look for this API folder and look for the artist controller. So I have to say API and then look. So go to my API folder in my controllers, go look for that artist controller, and then call the method one. And now I have this error, the method one cannot be defined. Okay, so then I go def method one and render JSON. So then I can render JSON, whatever, something from method. Circle life is complete. Right, so this one I don't need to say, because I don't namespace it. I don't need to say localhost /API. All right.
And render JSON literally means like give this back to me in a JSON format.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine's having trouble working. It doesn't load the page. It says the site can't be reached, even though I put the 3001 API and artist.
You have the site can't be reached. You might not have your server running.
I ran that and it just said undefined method get for main object, no method error, but I have the same stuff. So I don't.
No, yeah, you probably, I had a get down here on line 26 of my routes. I had that error. I don't know if that's where yours is. I had to get rid of that.
I'll try it again then.
Was that down there?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that'd be it. So if I have a syntax error, like my server will break. And so then it doesn't work. So I had that earlier. Like that get was there. So I needed to delete that, refresh. So this get, let's look at this one. So I'm doing a get request API Y. So first of all, if I wanted to try to do that in my browser, I need to say API /Y. Where is this going to go? It's going to go in my API folder, in my controllers, to the artist controller, to the Y method. So if I hit refresh, well, for some reason it went back to X API /Y.
And then now you have to define it in the other page.
Yeah, so now I need to define the Y method. But yeah, we want to namespace all of our, routes to API, so we can use this helper namespace API do, and then every route we put inside of here, will automatically be, API.
Okay. Yeah, that was my question. What was more of namespace doing? I understand that.
So it helps us write cleaner code.
Thank you.
So I want to go to Chrome. Let's say I want to go to the create method. How do I do that? In Chrome.
Just / artist. After the API.
Okay, so yeah, let's go to artists, / artist, hit enter.
Could you do like the hash and then create after that?
The hash after this one?
Like, no, like in Chrome, just the same thing as the route.
Oh, you're saying like this, hash create.
Yeah.
I don't know what it does with I don't know what a
Same
pound.
thing.
I think it's ignoring that pound. But yeah, if I go to /artist, I have a no route match.
Do you still need the API in there then?
Oh yeah, that I do. Sweet. That was a good one. I do need the API /artists. I'm still getting an error. No route matches a get to API artists. I have two, because right, I don't have an API artist, right? A get API artist. Well, I could switch that back to artists. So now I refresh. That's not doing my post though, right?
We haven't done anything with the controller with post though.
Okay, yeah, so in my controller with create, I could do like, and let's, just for all of these, let's just comment this out. Index. That's from my index method. I'm telling you, I want to go to the create method. And then this is, let's also just go with conventional names. This is how I'll say this, my routes file is correct. So how come I can't get the from create?
I don't think this is right, but do you need to add another /artist after to go into artist and to the post?
This is 100% correct. My routes is.
No, I mean on the search bar.
Oh yeah, on the search bar. Perfect.
Like, do you add just a second artist / after that? Is that gonna?
I need, so I have the Chrome, when I do a Chrome request, when I come into Chrome and I type in a URL, I'm doing a GET request.
Yeah.
And so I think what you're trying to say is like, well, can we somehow make that a POST request, right?
Oh, never mind. You said that was correct. I was gonna say, if you change the path on the post, maybe.
So in our routes, we haven't even like made a create one yet, right? Don't we need to do that?
No, we have it. Yeah. So if I can, so there's another thing I can do. I can go to like localhost API. Actually, I can just type in any bad route and it'll pull up all the routes I have defined. I have a GET request, API /artist, and I have a POST request, API /artists.
Don't you need some way to put an input so that the user can put in input to post?
I mean, eventually we'll want to do that. But yeah, and then also like a form might do a post request. The thing what I'm trying to really get at here is I am doing a GET request right here. I need to be doing a POST request because the paths are the exact same. The difference is the method. And when I'm in Chrome and I type in a URL and I hit enter, it does a GET request. So how do I do a POST? I honestly don't know how to do a POST request in Chrome. Just there might.
You would have to use the Postman app.
Yeah. So what I can do is we can use an app to help us with that. So I can use the Postman app. So I'm going to go into that. So let's do API artists. I'm going to do a GET request. That's from index. I switch it to a POST request. That's from create. And I can see these started a GET request, API artist, that goes to my API artist controller index method. Started a POST request, that goes, to API artist, that goes to my artist controller to my create. You can also see some like random parameters being sent, but. So let's all go download Postman. Because we're going to want to use Postman because we're not going to be doing anything with like React today, maybe even tomorrow. So go ahead, Google Postman and download Postman. And I guess it does have different chips. So to see what chip you have, go to your Apple icon about this Mac. So if it says M1, that's the Mac Apple chip. If it says Intel, that's the Intel chip. It's kind of interesting. They have different downloads for different chips. So do that. We can also, as you're doing this, once you get it done, I'll give you some extra time. We can take a break. Let's call it 11:55. I'll stick around too if there's any questions on this.
Can you go back to the controller so I could see that?
Yes. I'll Slack out this controller as I have it.
I'm having trouble getting my server to start. Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
So here's where I typed, let's see, where is it up here? Rails, I'm trying to start it. And then it did all this, but when I go,
Yeah, you have a syntax error. So if you have a syntax error, your Rails app is not, your server's not going to be able to run. So if you scroll all the way up, we can kind of see where it's coming from.
Oh, I saw that. Was it this right here?
Yeah, so in your routes, line 15-ish.
I thought I double checked this and I couldn't figure, and I don't have anything. Let me see if I have anything weird. Let me
just, let's see here. Scroll up. Oh, okay. So I think what you did is you fixed it, but you never restarted your server.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's fixed, but now you need to go try to run your server.
So just do this part again.
Rels S, yeah, -P 3000.
3001.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we'll scroll up. Maybe it's a different error now.
Oh. I don't know if I'm into the next one yet. Is this it right here? It's still.
The unexpected, expected end. Okay, so it is the same one. Make it big again. Let's see. Do you have?
Maybe if I just like copy yours and paste it. Do I have something like what? I don't know what's happening.
Where? Um,
Is there, would it help if I like,
Did I throw that in? Yeah, copy and paste it from Slack. I don't see it though.
I know, is there a way to like maybe just shut all this down? I think I even quit this and tried again and it didn't.
Yeah, no, it's shut down. Like it didn't work.
Yeah.
It's on your
Okay.
new prompt. So
Yeah.
did I not Slack that out?
Let me check
Yeah, I think it's at the very bottom.
bottom. There's that part.
Yeah, that's all of it. You could copy and paste that whole thing.
Oh, this is the,
That's the route file.
oh, okay.
Just do like a command A. Yeah.
Okay.
So command B.
Command B, okay. And it saves automatically.
Restart your server.
Sorry, I've just been watching the. I wanted to step away for a second. When did you say to come back?
11:55.
Oh, I think it worked.
Where the hell?
I know, isn't that weird?
Okay, you can take a break. I don't.
Well, it's the same with me. I was looking at it forever, like trying to figure out, I'm like, what is happening? Okay. Should I double check it here? But it looks like it's working.
Yeah, it should be working.
Okay, good. Oops. Okay, well, thanks. I'll go take a quick break.
No problem.
And I'm still having a little trouble here if you're still there.
Yeah, I'm here. You want to share your screen or tell me what the problem is? Can you hear me? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I can hear you. I had to turn off the other computer so they weren't overlapping each other. Seem to have everything in here written and that we're actually using, but it's still not rendering, still says no path for get.
Okay, so let me see where you're getting the error in, I guess, in Chrome. Yeah, because if you look down below, you can see you have a path for API/artists. So you have a get. So you in Chrome, you need to do localhost 3000 API/artists. So localhost 3000/API/artists.
Okay. Should it be 3001? Because I think it made 3000 bytes. So
It's fine. Like just when you ran Rels S, you didn't do the -p 3001, which is fine. It just automatically runs on 3000. So
okay, so the slash is where the go from this here to API path to the artist path.
yeah.
Okay. I'm keeping up with it better this time. It's this one where flip flopping back and forth between screens, and especially on the small computer, I start getting lost, and then you say something and I'm a little bit behind, and I wish this thing would let me use multiple screens, but for some reason these MacBooks are having problems where you can't plug it into where it has multiple screens.
Mhm.
I was having that issue too.
Yeah.
It's
It took me a while to figure it out.
Yeah, I've looked at multiple different solutions online. They seem to work for a moment, and then you turn off the computer and turn it back on. It's back to where you started. It's really
For me,
frustrating.
yeah, it was really annoying. For me, it was just finding the right adapter.
Yeah.
some adapters that won't let you have separate, like it just mirrors. Is that what you're saying?
I've got an adapter that allows me to plug into my TV, so it's an extension. It's like two screens side by side where I can put something over on the TV screen. See what you're doing, and then we're working on this. But all of a sudden it gets really slow, and the mouse doesn't respond, and the colors get off. It's just really annoying. And then working on this little thing is like trying to, build something when you're looking through a letterbox. It's just screens. It's not big enough when you have all these things crammed together.
So it works. It's just more the performance.
Yeah, as soon as I plug in the TV to the adapter, I can get the screen extension, but all of a sudden the mouse like locks up or it gets really slow, or you click on something and then it doesn't, click on it.
Will
It's like
you?
real
What?
big.
I think that might be just because the TV is so big. Sometimes it has troubles with like different screen sizes. So it's like trying to do two different screen sizes, and sometimes if it's a random size, it doesn't do good.
Yeah.
Or it just could be the
adapter. Yeah, 'cause I just got a basic 40-inch. It's not high def. It's regular LCD from 2012. It's annoying. You get something, you think it'll help you out, and then there's some little oddball setting issue somewhere inside here that keeps you from being able to use something.
I wonder if there's any way. Yeah, I wonder if that's more like a processing power thing, or
Yeah, there's a lot of people online that are having the exact same problem and all these different possible solutions, but they don't seem to really work. And it only seems to be just this style of MacBook Air with this M1 chip that's having the problem.
Yeah, I have the same MacBook Air with the M1 chip, and that's it's a pretty common issue.
So
especially because
it's more like
it can only connect to one.
Okay, so it's more like the processing thing of an M1 Air can only do so much.
I think so. Mine works just fine now, but before I was having trouble connecting because I had an adapter going to like an adapter just to get the right port for my monitor, but
I
once
have
you like cut it down a little bit,
I wonder if you like change the resolution or like the refresh rate on your monitor. Have you, if that like
that
make it a little like if that would like by I don't know. Have you tried any of that?
Yeah, some of the things online say to go to, the display section and change the resolution, but then when I try to do it, it doesn't show up the same way as it's showing up for them. The little displays and the same as the options to
Yeah.
change things, which is really annoying because they just change it and it says like low def version of the output, but on mine it doesn't show that, and it's like, great, now I can't do what they're trying to tell me to.
Well, yeah. Well, what you could, I mean, you could go to your display setting. Display setting. Find your monitor. Maybe switch. I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing, but if you maybe
I think
change.
sometimes the refresh rate locks up. That's what happens with my monitor.
So if you make that low and you make the resolution low, maybe I don't know if that would help. Maybe it would blur it, but maybe it makes it less intensive for your computer. I'm like spitballing here, but
You can also find pretty cheap monitors on KSL that are like used but have good specs.
oh, actually, I like this makes it bigger.
Are you using like HDMI?
Me?
No, Michael.
Yeah, I've got HDMI cable, and if I hook the same exact cable to the old laptop I have to be able to put out what it's for the Zoom meeting on it, it works perfectly fine with the TV. It doesn't have any issues. The mouse works perfectly fine. But if I take it immediately and hook it into this the MacBook, it just immediately starts going slow and the color's off and the mouse doesn't respond.
Yeah, it sounds like that's your adapter. Do you just have an HDMI to USB-C adapter?
Yeah, I'm on my third one. The first two didn't work at all. This one it's actually got the HDMI adapter into regular USB ports inside, and I can power the electrical. The hookup goes through that into the laptop to keep it powered. But it's just, you would think Mac would have tried this before they put the thing out to the public and had a fix to it. But it's just like, you got to buy 16 different adapters from them, and just feel like you're getting fleeced.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but
How they get you is add on.
I know, and only their adapters work.
Okay. Let's get started. I'm going to do this. Let's see if I can throw this all in Postman now. So does everyone have Postman?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What I'm going to want you to have to use today. I think it's a really nice tool, because one way to test this is with Postman. The other way is to we have to go actually build out like forms and stuff, which takes a lot of work. So Postman allows us to just test our back end without any front end. And we can send data. We can do post, delete, gets, passes the data. All right, so now where we left off is we've done 2 requests. or we set up these two things. I'm saying, hey, I can now handle a GET request to artist. And as the Rails app, when I get that, I'm going to go to the artist controller to the index method. And right now we're rendering JSON from index. Well, I don't want to do that. I want to render all my artists. So now when I hit send, I need to do a GET request. So first of all, is everyone here? I think there can kind of be a weird way to find this. Does someone want to share their screen and show what Postman looks like? I feel it can sometimes be a little difficult to get to this spot.
I'm in the same place as you are.
Is
It's
anyone
just
not?
workspaces?
Mine looks a little different.
Do you want to share your screen? I just want to, I swear sometimes.
Yeah, mine too. I'm kind of at a homepage of like my workspace after I just created my account.
Yeah. So I wanna see
You're gonna want to paste that link in there too.
that's all right. Click on the left. Will you click on like, or just make that full screen? What happens if you make it full screen? And then I guess on the left, there's probably some icons. Click on some of those icons on the left.
Like these.
Yeah.
Okay.
Collections. Go to
Go to clone.
collections.
Oh, collections. Okay.
I mean, actually, you have it here. Actually, I think you're fine. You have what we need. You're in the right spot. Because you can do.
Okay.
Actually, well, now you're not.
Oh, what is it do?
Go back to overview.
Oh,
Period.
overview.
Yeah, yours is a little different than mine. On the left.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
mine looks exactly like
On
hers.
the
too.
right.
Go
you
back
have-
to your workspace. It's on your tab.
Wait, say that again. There was.
HTTP.
Oh, wow.
You see the
Oh,
tab?
yeah, right here. Oh, I see. Okay, so I can get out of these. All right.
Oh, I think I had my history tab open. That's what I had. So on the left, if you had the history tab, on the very left, there's a history. So that's what I had. So then you can kind of go through and look at some of them. But yeah, this is what you want. On the right side, that's what you have. So you can stop sharing.
Okay.
Can anyone not see that area? And what I mean by like, I think mine.
Sorry.
You're fine. So what you want is just to be able to have this place where you can select the verb and type in the path and hit send.
I'm not there.
Okay, so yeah, I'm not quite, so you want to share your screen and show where you're at? Okay, where would you want to, yeah, do the new HTTP request. Just click on that and hit continue. Sweet. There you go. So now you have this spot where you can enter the requests and do the get. Sweet. Okay. So yeah, everyone go type in, select the get request and, type in the HTTP localhost 3000 API, localhost 3001 API/artists. And then you click send. And you're either going to see the data, or if you haven't changed your controller, you might see from index. I don't like how I have to, I don't think. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of that one because we don't want to render that. We want to render JSON artist.all. Cool. So now let's test out our post. So I'm just going to switch this to post. Send from create. Cool. So that's working. Now I don't want to just, I actually want to create something here, right? Let's actually do this. I'm going to render JSON params. So in my create method, I'm rendering this JSON params. Now I actually have some stuff in here. I have like this song, this name, this play count. I'm sure you probably don't, right? That'd be very, very strange if you did. So, because what I want to simulate with Postman is I want to simulate sending up some data. Because if we're going to create an artist, I need to send data. And I'm going to do that from the client, i.e. from Postman. And I'm going to do it like this. So find the body tab. And here in the keys, we can send params. So I'll do the key is X, the key is Y. I'll just say X here, Y here, and then we'll send it. So now this params variable, which is something that is defined by our controller. So I'll say this params is defined by our controller. Rels. Let's call this params here, just so we see the difference. This is the key name params here. That's what I'm calling the key. And then this white params, that's actually the object. So if I wanted to like render X, I could do params X, remember, because params is just a hash. Something like that, need a comma. See, that's the full hash right here. And here I'm just grabbing the X param. Now, how I want to send this data for an artist is we have this like, or I'll do it like this. I'm going to want to send it like this as an artist. So think of this as like the model name and then the attribute name. So let's say I'm trying to create a band. So let's do tool. They have whatever, how many fans. I hit send. So there's my params here. In my params, I have this artist. So I'm kind of organizing my params by artist. And then in artist, it's going to create this another hash with name and fan keys. That is what I need to make a artist, right? I need the name and fans. So now I can do so this is a way I can simulate in Postman, like filling out a form and hitting submit. So I don't actually need to build out a form. So let's do this. Let's do our private method artist, or sorry, params dot require artist. I need to call, I need to actually artist. I'm going to make this method artist params, and what it's using this require method on my params. It's saying, hey, I want to require that the artist key is on my params. So I could do something like this. If or actually, let's just do this. Let's say let I keep on let artist params return value or return equals this method. I think it's it's a little weird going from JavaScript to Ruby, because normally this would be like let artist params return equal, and then we would call that function. And we would have a return here. But with Ruby, we can we don't have the let, we don't need to call the function. So what I'm doing here, I'm just calling this artist params method, and I'm storing it to this value. Let's just see what this is. Kind of like inspect and see what that is. So you see how this params.require artist, it's kind of filtering out that controller and action. So now I just have the name and fans. So it's taking my params, it's making sure artist is there, and then it's returning them. So if I change this to artist X and I change this one to artist X, in my client and I send, I actually get an error. And it's saying param is missing or the values empty. And it doesn't like that I didn't give it, something that didn't have artist. So I don't have artist in the param, so it's failing. So I'm getting back a 400 error, bad request, because I'm requiring the artist param to be there. So I matched that. Now it works. And then I can permit, the things that I want to allow. So that's going to be name and fans.
How come you couldn't just do render JSON params that require artist?
I could.
You could. You don't have to store it in a variable or in a function.
No, I don't have to do this in a function. I don't have to store that to a variable.
Okay.
I could do this all right here, but we're going to be reusing this function. So I'm going to put it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So now I want to show you what this permit's doing. Well, let's not have the permit in right now. Let's just go in here and add another thing. Artist. Full lawful or whatever. Something that's not in my database. I need to say that magically worked. So now when I send this, I can like, the params.require is just grabbing everything that has that artist. So maybe I don't want to allow anything else other than name and fans. So I can do a dot permit name. So anything that's actually in my database and fans.
And now you couldn't send that third post request because that name is invalid in the permit and require.
I can send it because, I can send, it's like with a database, like I'm going to do a get request. I'm doing a post request. So let me say it this way, just to like switch hats. I'm Postman. So think of Postman like I'm the client. I'm doing a post request and I'm sending all of this data. And then let's send that. But what the server is going to do, so now I'm no longer Postman, the client is going to require that artist param to be there. But if you give me anything other than name and fans, I'm just going to filter it out. So now this is what this is returning is, this an object or hash that has name and fans.
Okay.
So let's do this. Let's say instead of artist return params, let's do this. Let's say let artist equals artist dot new. And this is like essentially like what I'm passing here is that thing that's going to require and sanitize and return this object, right, from my parameters. But I'm just going to call that function right there. So let artist equal that. So now let's render back the artist. I'm just going step by step so we can like really see everything that's going on. I keep on saying let. Okay. So now my artist, since I did artist.new, it now has like an ID, it has a created at, it has an updated at. But it was not saved to the database, but it's almost there. So what I do now is I can try to save it. If artist.save. And I do an else end. Let's try running this. So I create my new artist, or I save it in memory. So here, create artist in memory with sanitized params. We're cleaning our parameters. Then we try to save to DB. So I'm going to click send again. So this is when I render JSON, I'm getting back this params here, and I'm getting back this artist. If I did this as an Axios call, this thing I'm getting back is going to be res.data. So how would I get back let's say I had like set, like add artist, or how would I grab the artist from res.data, if that makes sense? Like I do an Axios call, this is how this is going to be.
You have to go one level deeper, so you have to do res.data.data.
It wouldn't be res.data.data. It would be res.data.artist.
Artist, okay.
So like that one API you used, they had probably something like that. They named the key data. So that would be res.data.data. So I can do this data. What about now? how would I get the artist?
Res.data.x.
Yeah, res.data. Wait, no, res. So this would be res.data, this whole thing. So it'd be res.data.data.x. Now I don't need to send all this crap back, so I'm just going to do render JSON artist. So now how do I grab that? What would it be?
Render.data or render.data.artist or render.artist.
There's no, this is res.data.
Or
If we're using Axios. So if it's, I want to like set my artist or add this artist, the res.data, that this whole object is the res.data. And this one, I'm just returning just the object. So res.data would be the object.
Okay.
Cool. Let's have this fail. So let's add a validation in Rels. So let's do a couple of validations. So I'm going to go into my model. So we can add some validations. So, maybe we want to, check some things. So I think something I would want to check is, and I can use this validates. So I want to make sure that they give me a name. Presence. So what I'm going to say, before you try to save, or like if you save this to a database, there has to be a value for the name, right? That kind of makes sense. If you're creating a band, there should be a name.
So these are all certain requirements to get it to save to the database?
What?
These are certain requirements to get it to post to the database?
Yeah. Or, I could even do something like maybe I could do something like this. I could say, hey, uniqueness. Let's do presence true. And let's say like uniqueness. So it has to be there and it has to be unique. So now I'm validating this name attribute. It needs to be there, it needs to be true, and it needs to be unique. So now I send.
Now, what do you mean necessarily by unique?
What do I mean?
I understand the top part, but the unique, like it can't have the same name?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that would make sense for like Spotify, right? I think I spelled presence wrong. You'll see that. I have a 500 error. Whenever you have a 500 error, it's a good idea to go check your server. And so it's saying it doesn't know this validator because I spelled it wrong. Presence, like this is like a specific Rels thing to validate. So I need to spell presence right. Did I spell uniqueness wrong? Unique.
Just needed one more.
Just have an extra S on the end. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So this was a 204. So remember, 200s are successful, but there's no content. Now did this actually create to my database? It's a little tricky here. It didn't render JSON artist, it just, right? Because the artist didn't save. But I didn't have any other renders. So if I don't render anything, it just gives me a 204. It's like, okay, well, nothing broke, but you didn't get back anything. That's no content. So this did not work. So I could do a render JSON errors. And I'm going to do this artist.errors.full messages. This is just something we get from from active record. So remember, we made a model called artist, capital A. This is our artist model. Here I'm creating a instance of that class. So now I have instance method on that class, and one of them is this artist.errors.full messages. And that's going to tell me what went wrong. So if I do a send, there's the error. Name has already been taken. This is a 200. Probably shouldn't have this be a 200, right? Because this was not successful. So what I'm going to do is I need to actually, if I don't state that it's an error, like it'll just give me back a 200. So I want to say, no, this is an error. And I'm going to give it the specific error of 422, which is an unprocessable entity, meaning they gave me some data and I wasn't able to process it. So it's a 400 error because I was unable to save it to my database. So something about the params you gave me were off. So I'm going to give you back an error and then the messages. So I hit send. Now it's a 422. And that's actually in our JavaScript, that's going to cause an error, which we can then catch in our try catch. And then they can handle that. Like, hey, you know, you are not tool, that's probably already been taken. That name's already been taken as a band name. Sorry. So then I'd be like, well, okay, I want to be called Tulio. And that works. But now Tulio is taken. If I
Now, every time you're doing that, the third one down, the artist falafels or whatever you put, it's just getting thrown away.
Where did I throw that? Or sorry. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah,
That's getting thrown away, right?
Yeah, it's getting sanitized right here. So I'm calling this artist params method, so it sanitizes.
And by sanitize, like what does that specifically do? It just kind of just like puts it to the side, it's not getting stored.
It does. Well, now if someone sends me an artist with this, like someone's like the client is going to order a dish and like they're sending me these parameters. If they give me anything other than artist name, artist fans, I don't care. I'm just going to throw them away.
Okay.
So that's what that's doing. So yeah, we don't need to like send that anymore. So yeah, here if I don't send any, so here I'm not going to send an artist name. And I get that can't be blank. So like I can, you know, hey, you try to create something without a name. Oh, hey, you tried to create something that's been taken. There's your unique name. There you go.
So when I generate in Postman, when I do my post request, everything's coming up. I'm getting the name and the fans to go through, but everything else is coming up null.
On you mean your ID and created?
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to do this if artist.save. So we create it in memory and then we try to save it to the database. So it's this saving process that gives us the ID created at and updated at.
Mine's giving me back string with a value of null.
String with the value.
Okay, I'm getting the rest of the stuff, but string's just added in there, like along with name and ID and fans.
Well, I guess we can, let's, Steve, if you didn't fix yours, we can look at yours, and Joe, let's look at that. I think these can be good to look at together. So whoever wants to share first, go for it. All right, okay. So you have string null, okay. So if you go to your, that's weird. Let's go to your body. Oh, I think or actually, okay, so can anyone kind of maybe take a guess at what's going on here? With kind of, so I look at your artist params, you have this artist, require artist dot permit name and fans. So that's good. So when you send that on the front end, you're allowing those things to get passed. And you're saving it successfully because you have an ID. But you have this string colon null. What is that string colon null? Does any guesses on that from anyone? Go look at your schema.rb.
Okay.
So do a command P and search for your schema.rb.
I have this, but I'm.
So on your artist table, you have a.
He has a extra string.
He has a column named string, which is type string. So you've added a column on your artist table. It's called string. Now you probably did that when you generated your model. So you did a Rels G model artist, and I can share my screen, kind of show you what you did.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Where I, instead of setting the value to string, I created a new.
Yeah, you did a Rels G model, like, I'm going to spell this wrong, artiste. You said name, and then you said string, and then fans integer, probably. Or maybe you didn't.
I think I might have done artists. Because on this table it says artists.
No, it's the pluralization is a little confusing. So
Okay.
because your table, your database, you're going to have an artists.
Oh, that makes sense.
You have a artist model. So I did an art test, name string fans integer. If I go look at what that migration file created, it has a name, which is a string, which is a string, and a fans, which is an integer. So that's what you did. If you don't give the type of data for your columns, it's going to default to a string. So name is going to be a string, and then you have a column called string, which is going to be a string. So it's like you kind of essentially did something like this.
So I should just delete that column.
Yeah, so
Okay.
let's talk about how to delete it though. So
Okay.
this is, if you screw something up like this, there is definitely a couple ways to delete it. Because you cannot, the one way that is definitely will not work, you can't delete your schema. Like it's going to do nothing. If you go in and you like remove it from your schema, it doesn't do anything.
Okay.
What you would need to do is go to your migration. There's a couple different ways. You can either just like delete your, like fix it in your migration file. And well, let's just do it this way just to keep it simple. Go into your migration file.
Okay.
And I can show you this too as well. Like I'll do another one, like I'll do an example of like adding. Or like I'm going to do a string. And I'm just going to call this like, you know, new column. I want to add a new column. That's called new column, yo. So I think what would maybe be a good guess to like what I need to do is I need to do a Rels Db Migrate. Well, that created my artists table. But if I look at my schema, your schema is kind of like is how your database looks. My artist does not have that new column because it already ran that migration. So what I could do is just do a Rels. I just want to drop my database, Rels DB drop, DB create. I can run these all in one line. DB create, DB migrate, DB seed. So I drop my database, I create it, I migrate it, and I seed it.
Okay.
And you know, I'm gonna delete this artists folder because I don't want it.
So I should delete that and then run all of those commands.
Yeah, you would delete that one thing from your migration file and then run that command.
Okay. So then I just have name and fans.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then start your server again.
All right.
Now I got a question for you. One question, and then so I'm going to recreate tool, right? We have tool. Is this going to work now?
Probably not.
I got an error. Oh, I never stopped my server. It did work. And see that there's my new column, yo. I didn't pass out a value, so that's null because I never passed it anything.
Okay.
But tool, why was I able to create tool? Because when
you
go for it.
dropped the old database.
Yeah.
Everything else is the same. Yeah.
When I dropped my
because
database,
you had an already.
when I dropped my
created that because
database, I
the
destroyed
database
all of
is
my.
erased.
Sorry, what was that?
I was just saying what you were saying, where it's like where you drop the database, everything you have in there is erased. So
Yeah.
now you can create tool because it's not in there.
Yeah. Cool tool. Steve, did you figure out your issue?
Yeah, mostly. Now I just can't get it to generate errors. Like I can create an artist with the name tool as many times as I want.
Can you
Okay.
select out those commands real quick?
Yes.
So if he's able to create tools as many times as he wants, he did something, he's missing something in the like where you did the restrictions at the permit.
Yeah, so let me select those out. So in our artist model, in our artist class, I'll select what you need. You need to, in your model, you throw out the validations.
Oh yeah, I didn't do that part. I forgot. Okay.
A lot of, and let me also slack out some of our Rels command too. So they're actually straightforward though. They kind of largely do match what they do. Like, I'm slacking this out right now. Let me just show you as I'm typing. So create a database. That's Rels DB create. Run your migrations. That is Rels DB migrate.
You want to be sharing your screen?
Oh yeah, thank you. you know, destroy your database. It's like everything. Rels drop. And, you know, seed, you know, run your seeds file. Rels DB seed. And then I can also say like, do like all in order. Like if you just like really just want to just reset everything, like a hard, like do everything, you can do a Rels. And you kind of want to do it in this order where you destroy it, you create it, you migrate it, and then you seed it. As one, you can run those all in one line. Cool. Let's do. Okay, so we spent a lot of time with the controller. Let's go back to our routes and like finish these out. So I want to do a show method, and this is responsible for, like I'm defining this API. I want to give the consumer of my API or the client a way to get one artist. And I'm going to follow just like the common conventions of Rels and this. And this is going to be a /artists. And then I'm going to need a way to grab the ID. So what I'm going to do that as a param in the URL. So if anything matches artist / and this is like a wild card, but I'm going to call it ID. That's going to go to my artist controller, the show method. Okay, so in my artist controller, I need to define a show method, right? Def show end. Let's just render JSON. Let's do our params. I think it's just as we're kind of debugging. Let's see what our params are. And then we can worry about how to make this work. So I need to do a GET request to API /artist /anything. 500 error. Okay. And I see 500. So there's some words you should see like 500 internal server error, syntax error. These should all let you know, like, go look at your server, see if you can get a hint of where your error's at by finding the error. And I can kind of see here, like config routes, RB13, we have a syntax error somewhere around here. So let's go check that out. Line 13 of my routes, right? Dang, you know, that actually looks pretty good to me.
You're missing your comma after your, yeah.
Sweet. Let's do that. Cool. So I'm missing my comma. .404 not found. No route matches API artist ASD. That one is strange. So you can always go to look at your routes that are defined. You can go to localhost 3000. There's this actually a route for this, Rels info routes. Rels /info routes. A get request API artist ID API artist show. So it kind of shows me what's defined here. Select this URL out. You might want to bookmark this one, especially for the homework today. And just for Rels in general, I think this can be useful to go check that out. Because what I'm seeing here is like, okay, I have this route defined. I have a get request API / artist ID. I'm doing a get request to API artists and then ID. What am I missing?
ID? Or is that, it could be anything.
So in
That-
your
Be a number?
That
integer?
is the ID. This can be anything.
Okay.
It's a hard one. It's one of these damn errors that you can spend a while on if you're not really looking for it.
so artist hash show should be a put request, shouldn't it?
Should be a put request.
Yeah.
I think it's a get request. I just want to get an artist
Oh, by its ID.
by itself, by its ID.
Okay.
What is my okay, so I am
Oh, your URL is
S.
singular
yeah,
artist.
so I heard it. I'm missing an S. So I forgot to put an S there. Cool. Now this is a different error. Now this is, so it first was a 400 error because that route is not defined because I'm going to artists with an S ID. So it's like, oh wait, no, I need to change that here because I want these all to be /artists. And then I'm going to send. But now I have a different error. 500 error, no undefined method JSON for API controller. Go back here, maybe it shows me something better. There it is, artist controller line 9. Okay, artist controller line 9. That thinks it's a method. I actually just want to do that. Just like probably a hash. It wants it actually like this. Okay. Render JSON, send. There we go. There's my params. Notice how I have this params ID. And it's what's ever here in this thing. In my URL, not this thing. If I go back to my routes and I change this to whatever, and I send, it changed the name of the params key. So I'm going to change this name to ID because that's what it is. It's an ID. So it's going to make my code more readable. So now I know params ID. That is going to be the thing that I want to, that's the ID. Okay, cool. Well, if I have the ID, I can find the artist dot find params ID. There we go. So there's my params. I can get the ID and then I can use the find method to grab the ID. Now I don't need to send all of this back. I'm just kind of showing you to kind of show you what params are. So I can just render JSON artist.find params ID. And there it is. So if I did an Axios call, res dot to, API artist and then the ID, it would give me back this artist. What if I do API artist / like something that's not there? There's a 404 error. It's like, I don't have an artist with this ID in it. I need to give it an artist that actually exists, an ID that actually exists in my database. I'm going to do something here though. We're going to do this quite a bit, and I want to keep my code dry. Has anyone heard this acronym? Do not repeat yourself. Dry code. What do you think I'm going to do in my update, in my delete method? I should call it destroy because that's the technical word for it, the conventional word.
Just be the same, right? Where you're looking for the ID.
Yeah, am I not going to try to find the artist? So what I'm going to do down here in this private section, I'm just going to say this, only visible class. I don't think we'll really get to like what this private is doing today, but for now I'll just kind of say methods only visible to class. I'm going to do a method that is called set artist. And I'm going to, because I'm going to do this quite a bit, right? I want to do this in my destroy, in my show, in my update. And I'm going to say artist equals that. And then I'm going to also do a puts, just so we can see this, set artist called. Okay. So I have this function. This is the important part. It's just setting this artist variable. And I'm going to go up here at the start and I'm going to do this before action. This is a helper in our controllers. I can call this set artist function. But I only want to do this in my show, update, and destroy methods. So now I can just render JSON artist. Because before this show method, I'm going to call this method set artist, where this set artist is going to set this artist variable to this artist.findParams ID. Yay, life is good. Let's run this and see it crash. Unexpected error, line 2, forgot a comma.
You're missing comma, yeah.
Comma right there. Let's try it again. See the next error. Undefined local variable or method artist. Dang it. How can I make this artist variable visible to this whole file?
Is it the @ sign before it that makes it a?
Yeah, I make it an instance variable. So now it's going to be scoped to all these methods. So now I can say @artist. And there we go. So here's my show method. Look how clean that is. Render JSON @artist. I'm going to copy my create method. It's going to be a little different because I don't need to create a new artist. I just need to find it. Right. But it's already found because I call that set show method. And now I can do my @artist update, pass it the artist params, render JSON @artist and @artist. Now this one doesn't have to, in my create method, it doesn't have to be the instance variable because I have to like just create the new artist here anyway in memory, save and try to save it. And yeah, another thing I could show is like, see, there's my puts set artist called. So we do a get API artist one, set artist called, bam, we have our parameters. So update. There's our update. We have the code written in our method, but I don't have the route defined. So I need to go to my routes. Just copy this now. So a update's going to be a put to artist. And then I need, think about all those methods we're setting the artist. We're using params ID to set the artist. So if I don't call that ID, that set method's not going to work. So I need to call that ID. So I do a put. If I get a put request to artist ID, hey, go to the artist update method. We had that stuff. We had that working in our controller. So let's do a put API artist one. Let's go ahead and change. You know, it's Michael Jackson. Let's change Michael Jackson's name to MJ. Let's send that. There we go. And it's been updated. The ID, the ID stays the same. I guess the fans changed because I set that to, but I could set the fans to 1 and we're updating it. If I try to so it's not going to, since the name's the same, it's not going to try to update the name, but like if I try to update the name to a blank string, I'm going to get an error. Name can't be blank. But since I'm sending, like if I send it the name with the same name, that will work. I try to update it to a name that already does exist. That's not its name. Name's already been taken. So we've done our index, our show, our create, our update. Let's do our destroy. So let's start with the routes. Which HTTP method is this going to be?
Delete.
Yeah, delete. Delete. Let's go to artists. I really don't need this slash right there. I think it works either way. Artists, and then I need the ID. Now see how some of these, like I have these paths that are duplicate. I have like 2 artists and then I have 3 artists / IDs. The way that I know the difference between these, it's like the combination of the verb and the path. That's how these are all, like the combination of these are unique and they all go to unique spots. So this goes to the artist controller to the destroy method. Why is it not the delete method? I don't know. They want to call it the destroy method. That has to be delete because that's the verb. I'm saying go to the artist controller to the destroy method. In the destroy method, I can just render JSON artist.destroy. So I can get that artist because we called the set artist before the destroy method. We delete it, and then I return it back. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do a delete request to API artist and then the ID of the artist. I'm going to send it. So many syntax errors. But these are good to go through. So syntax error in my routes, it looks like 16, line 16. So go to my routes file. Line 16, forgot the comma again. Let's try that again, send. That worked. So I'm just getting the thing I just deleted from my database. If I try to do it again, it's gone.
So now if you were to put it to like get artist and then you did ID1, it's gonna do another error 404.
Yeah, so yeah, if I do a get, so now I'm trying to get the artist with ID 1, that's a 404 because it's
Because you just
spawned from my
deleted it.
database. Why would I send back? So if I destroy something from my database, why would I send it back to the front end? Kind of don't have to, but you know, it'd be nice, like, you know, you destroy some, hey, this was successfully destroyed. It might give the front end person an option to be like, wait, are you sure you wanted to delete that? And then they could go like recreate it with like a press of a button. Or they, you know, they might want some of the data. But with things like create, definitely want to send back the art. You know, I think it's just nice to send back the stuff that, okay, here's what was changed. Because with create, it's going to have an ID. With update, it would have like the different it would have the timestamp of updated at would be different. So it would be, they might get some different stuff. Okay, so we didn't even get to our songs model. That is fine. We can do that tomorrow. It's about time to quit. I'm not saying you have to like really have this 100% down, but does this routes file, does this make sense when I'm saying, okay, this part of this, you're getting like, this is like what I'm expecting to get. These are like your routes you're defining. If someone gives you something, by someone, I mean the client, if they don't match this, you're going to give them back a 404, right?
Right.
If you do get one of these combinations, then you're telling yourself, okay, this is where I want to go.
You want to do the right thing, yeah.
Yeah. So this is like, okay, I get a get request to artist from Chrome. All right, so I'm going to go to the artist controller to the index method. And yeah, these are just conventions. Let me just show you this. I could do resources and artists. So I'm commenting out all this code. Refresh. There's all of those paths. They're all there. That goes to the API artist index, create, show, update. There's actually another one we see. It's a patch. There's actually 2 routes for update. For now, let's just leave it at put.
Was that like a Ruby magic sort of like?
Yeah. This is
quickly define all those.
Yeah. That is
Wow.
Rels magic.
Okay,
But-
can you do that when you have to define the methods too?
There's like a,
Like in your controller, is there like an automatic like, here's what to do?
resource, see if this. So I did a Rails G resource. Okay, let's say we have a taco model. A taco has a name and it has a price. Actually, I think I can actually namespace this too. Or let's do also like a food model. I think that, okay. So I did a resource. I called it a food model. It has a name and a price. Let's go look at the code. There's my taco, has a name and price. There's my food. Oh, it is called API foods. I don't know if I can namespace that. Let's go to my foods controller. Nope, it doesn't have it. Does my artist controller? Wait, we did that one. Damn, I was hoping, I don't know if this works. Resources. That's not it. I forget. Maybe it doesn't work in. Maybe it doesn't work as an API. If this was a Rels app, I've never tried. It like builds out all of your views, all of your controllers,
That's nuts.
all
That's
of your. Like
I mean, it's, yeah, when you make these HTTP things, I mean, they're pretty much generic from project to project, right? Yeah, so that makes sense that they would like automatically generate them for you. What time do you want us back?
Let's do. Sorry, let's save this. Let's do 2:10. But yeah, don't do the resources. Like I said, if you don't understand this, you're not gonna you're gonna struggle with Rels. And I've seen so many people go through, they do the resources, they can't explain what's going on here. And this is a very crucial, to be able to explain what's happening here is a sign you kind of have a good grasp on how Rels is working and how HTTP works and how kind of like MVC works. So
yeah, this right here that you're showing right now is very clear. It's just kind of building it and just a little syntax with building it. I need to understand more, but this definitely makes sense though.
yeah, because it's going to get more confusing tomorrow when we do like a nested route, because it's going to look like this. So we're going to start nesting stuff with our association. So it's even more important that.
So basically that right there is you gave the song a new ID for every song that the artist has, and it now has an ID.
What? Okay, let's just kind of guess, what do you think this would be doing? I mean, we haven't coded a lot of this, but first of all, what is this part saying right here?
So it's taking you to a specific artist. From the specific artist, it's giving you, it's doing a list of the artist ID, and then in the ID is all his songs, and all his songs has an ID.
Let me ask you, what do you think this would, if I did, what do you think this would return? I go to Postgres, or I go to Postman, I type in this, I give it a valid artist, I give it a valid artist ID, valid song ID. What should this return, do you think? And sorry, this also goes to this song show.
It would show a specific song with the ID from that artist.
Yeah, it's going to show one song that belongs to an artist. So if I get this path, I'm going to take the artist ID and I'm going to use that artist to find that song's ID that belongs to that artist. And I'm going to do that all in my songs controller in my show method there.
And then if you were just to do songs with the no/ID, it would show the whole list of their songs.
Yes, exactly. See, you're getting it. That would go to the index method. And that would show all the songs, belonging to that artist. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. I think this is a good little, since you really haven't had to do any models yet, and I've kind of given you the APIs, today just focus on the one. and get, I think this will be very useful. So I'm not going to give you artists. I think for this, we're going to do authors and books. So do like a little Amazon, like where you can have authors have like a name and whatever. And the author is going to have many books. A book belongs to an author. So yeah, let's take lunch. Let's go come back at 2:10.
Cool,
And
thanks.
I'll
Thank you.
also push this up to GitHub, and so you can have a reference to this lecture, like to this GitHub, and I'll just put it up on Slack. Cool. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Yep.
Thank you.